Hello friends, today in this tutorial we will be talking about what is an JavaScript object. We will be taking a complete example inside this Blackboard video. So you will be very enjoying the example. So you will be understanding in a nutshell what is a JavaScript object inside programming, why do we need to use it in the first place, and also how to access a simple JavaScript object. So let's start this animation video, and please hit that like button, subscribe the channel if you like this video. So now guys, in the very first slide here, basically the object is declared. You can see that we have declared an object variable with the let keyword, and basically it is declared within this curly brackets. You see these brackets, it's a special bracket, and in programming these brackets are called as curly brackets. And this object is declared in JavaScript object, it is declared in between these curly brackets. And basically this is the starting point. Whenever you are starting to declare a JavaScript object, this is the standard syntax, and these curly brackets represents the content of an object. So you will be very familiar with this curly brackets, guys. These are even used within the functions as well. Whenever you have the JavaScript functions, these curly brackets are also used inside that also. Now guys, we will be taking the example, basically how we can declare a simple JavaScript object. So once again, we have a user object here. User is equal to, and then we will have two properties out there, guys, which is the name property. Let's suppose I take inside double quotes because it's a string value. That's why John Williamson, you will see. And the second property will be age. So you will see we have put a comma here. So in between two properties in a JavaScript object, you need to put a comma here. Age is equal to 25. And basically these two properties are actually called as key value pairs. So simply, if you see guys, name is the key here and the value is John Williamson, and simply age is the key, and 25 here represents the value. So simply this is the key value pairs, and in between these two key value pairs, guys, we have put a comma here. So simply you will see that inside every JavaScript object there will be multiple properties out there. So you need to treat these properties such as the name, what is the key here, and the value is representing this one. So in between these two we have the comma, and basically this is the symbol which is used after the key, which is the colon symbol. So colon is used here, you will see that colon is used. So now guys, we will talk about if you want to declare a multiple objects within a single variable. So basically we have a concept called as arrays inside programming. Arrays simply represents multiple things. So if you want to declare multiple objects, you will call these objects as array of objects. So let's suppose we take a same example here of users, and this time you will see we will put this square sign here. You can see square brackets. So square brackets represents the array inside programming. If you have studied programming, you will definitely know that these square brackets represents the array. So this array contain string values, numeric values, floating point numbers, or even it also can contain objects as well. So you can see this is the one object here which contains these two properties, name and age, which is John and 25. And then we need to put a comma here, and then we will have another object of name is equal to Smith and age is 45. So you can just see the syntax, guys. Basically the syntax is very simple. If you declare one object, you need to surround them within curly brackets, and then you need to put a comma in between these two objects. We have the second object, which is name age property. So we need to surround it with the square brackets, these array of objects, and you need to put a comma in between the two objects within this array of objects. So you just need to put a comma between multiple objects inside this array of objects. So this is a very simply complex example, and this is a very practical example as well, because if you are involved in complex objects, you need to surround multiple objects. Lastly, guys, we will look to how to basically we can access the properties, different properties which are present inside a JavaScript object. This is the most important thing, because if you have declared the object, now what? You need to access the values as well. So now to access the values, guys, basically we declared this users array of objects. Again, you can see this is name property here, John, age is equal to 25, and this is one object here. You can see that one is the string value, second is the numeric value. That's why this 25 doesn't have double quotes around it, only string values has it. And then we have a put a comma, again name is equal to Smith and age is 45. So this is an array of objects. Now how we can access these values, which is name and age, how we can print out. So simply we'll say console log, and we will take the users here, and basically we will put a 0 here because this is an array, this is not a normal variable. So we will put here the 0 symbol here, and then we will use the dot notation. So dot notation is very much important, guys. So now we need to access the name property here. We will access the name property here like this. So this will print out John here on the screen. And similarly, basically, if you want to print out the users one, which represent the second object, because indexing starts from 0 inside arrays, as you all know. And now we will try to access the second property, which is age property. So this will output 45. So this is the basic way by which you can access properties within an object, guys, array of objects. Now, guys, we will be looking at an example, basically how we can loop an array of objects. So this is very a practical example, guys. Let's suppose the data is coming from an external file or external API. So this will contain millions of objects. So you can't be accessing manually. You cannot just do it manually. You need to use some kind of a for loop or for each loop. So for each loop, we will look at an example here. So again, we will have the same array of objects here. This will contain two objects. For simplicity's sake, we are just taking this example, but in a real-time practical situation, we will have a lot of records, thousands and millions of records. For that, you need to use some kind of a looping mechanism inside your programming application. So for this, we will specifically use the latest trend which developers used to loop through array of objects in JavaScript, which is the for each loop. And basically it takes, the syntax is very simple. You just need to put the array name, which is users in this case, and then you need to put the dot syntax here, dot, and then you put the keyword, which is for each. So E is capital here, for each, and inside parentheses you put a index variable which represents the actual user which is printing out. So first of all, it will access this first object. We will simply console log user.name plus user.age. So simply, guys, it will print out first of all John. You will see it will access this property here which is available inside this user one. First of all, it will iterate through the first object. It will print out John, and then it will print out 25. And then it will come to the second record, and then it will print out Smith and 45 in the next line. So this is a syntax, guys. This is basically, this represents the arrow syntax here, equal to, and this is less than sign. This is arrow syntax, arrow function. And inside this curly brackets, we write this function here and close it with curly brackets and parentheses. So this is the latest syntax on how basically we can use the for each loop to loop through an array of objects. If you have a lot of objects to loop through, and you can do this, and the output you will see at the bottom, John 25, Smith 45. So this will be the output coming on the console if you run this code. So in this video, guys, we have looked in a nutshell what is a JavaScript object, how we can access the properties of a JavaScript object, how we can loop through the array of objects. So if you were totally beginner, this video will be very helpful for you. And please hit that like button, subscribe the channel if you want to see more videos or like this, and I will be seeing you in the next video.